Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dotun Ayodele of AfricaX. Tonight I'll be talking to Mr. and Mrs. Bolanle and Kayode Akomolafe. They'll be telling us their story, making the jump from Nigeria to Canada. So without taking any more time, let's get right into it. Welcome on board, lady and gentlemen. It's so good to see you guys and share your story.
Thank you very much for
Thank you for having
us. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, we're excited to be here.
Fantastic. And I count it a pleasure. By way of full disclosure, Bolanle is my cousin, and she's been an awesome support as part of my own personal support system. So listening to her share her story is definitely something that warms my heart. So could you tell us, just share with us your backstory, your background? What was it like? Everything pre-Canada that you'd like to tell us. Okay. Ladies first.
Ladies first. Okay, my background, and I'll start with the fact that we've been married 19 years. And we have 3 children. We've been at it for a while. So we have 3 children, 18, 16, and 12. So at the time we started planning to come to Canada, and this was maybe 2010. We didn't put in the application till 2011. My sister-in-law lives here. My husband has cousins here. And for him, he was for sure not interested in coming to Canada. But for me, it was almost non-negotiable. I had a strong desire to leave Nigeria. I had always done banking. I studied economics at the university, and I tell people that I chose banking early, not because of the love of banking, because I really didn't know what it was about, but for the love of the people that came around to recruit people on campus. They used to come in looking very flashy. And I said to myself, these guys must have a lot of money. So if it's banking, so maybe banking will work for me. So, I've since worked in the financial services industry, and everybody that is Nigerian knows how stressful it is. It's absolutely stressful. As much as I wasn't a marketer, as they call it, I did treasury many years in Nigeria, but it was very intense. And even when you have a break from work, there's still traffic to contend with. And I did that on a daily basis for about 15 years before we moved. So I had my eyes set on Canada. Canada was supposed to be that place of rest, So we put in an application in 2011, and we didn't get our permanent residence, what's it called? Visa till 2015. So I'd like to think we had 4 years to plan. Yes, it was a lot of work at the time. It was a lot of back and forth. We were Saskatchewan nominees before we went to federal to get our visa and all of that. So we had time to plan. We had 4 years of planning. So for us, we planned so much that we knew where we wanted to live. Even though it was also easy because we had already had family here. And we knew everything, but I'm not sure we drilled down so much on what we wanted our career to look like, at least for me, what I had planned. My first option wasn't what eventually happened. And maybe we'll talk about that some more. Let me allow you to talk about your own, a bit about yourself.
Yeah, a bit about myself. I am a lawyer. I practiced in Nigeria for 20 years before we moved to Canada.
We're old. Not so much.
Not so much.
Yeah, March this year will make it 26 years that I was called to the bar in Nigeria.
Wow.
And leaving Nigeria after 20 years of practice was a huge struggle for me. Because at that time I had come to a position where one was a senior member of the bar, recognized, and it was a point where one should have begun reaping all the years that one had put in.
Wow.
And I have a law firm which is still very much operational in Nigeria. So leaving at that time was a huge challenge. I'm not sure there was a time that I was really excited about coming to Canada. I had some tingling sensations about, well, I mean, it's going to be a different life and all of that. But it was a struggle, such that the first 2.5 years when we moved here, I shuttled between Saskatoon and Nigeria. And that's because I wanted to allow a smooth transition for my clients who would want to go with their file, because I no longer was going to be in Nigeria. I had thought I could swing it for a while, but after 2.5 years, it became very clear that it wasn't going to work, because I wasn't getting too much done in Nigeria and I was getting absolutely nothing done here.
Yeah.
And of course, it was non-negotiable that I had to be where my family is. We were very clear about that from the outset, and we were not going to have it any other way. So Lagos had to go. So that was a huge challenge for me. And I guess that was one reason why I left bulk of the work to Bolanle to do the 4 years that that we waited. I mean, all I did was just sign forms whenever forms were required to be signed. She did all the filling of the forms. She did all the work, got all the information. Mine was to provide documents, provide information, sign documents that needed to be signed, because I wasn't excited about it.
Yeah.
I wasn't excited about it.
That part of sacrifice that you just described, we're going to spend some time talking about when we get to the point of how things are going. But I want to personally say that I recognize it. I wasn't there, but I can imagine what it was like to leave a 20-year career behind to make the jump. So you have some nuggets to pull out for us there. What your thoughts of Canada and its people were when you first landed? What was it like? What was your first day in the country like? What was the weather like in Saskatoon when you arrived? Can you share that with us?
Okay, let me start with that. And I remember when we landed, we came in through Toronto. It was Toronto, Saskatoon. And of course, Toronto is flashier for sure. It's more, there's so much more to Toronto seemingly, right? So it looked very good, but we arrived Saskatoon and there was a shock. You know how it is when we've been to many places in the world, right? And this place that you've seen on the internet, we had seen so many videos. I personally felt like I was already living in Canada. In fact, I probably left Nigeria a year before we actually left physically. So I was I was very excited. I'd seen videos. I'd even seen videos of the children's school. It was that bad. I knew where they were going to school.
Okay.
This was a new school. I was a part of the video tour, this new school. And we landed in Saskatoon and we're like, what's going on here? This is not the low Imbo we expected it to be. In fact, my husband was I think he was more shocked. But for me, I was shocked, but I was like, this is it, and we're going to do this, and we're going to make it happen. We're going to make it work, right? Yeah. So, it looked very different from New York and London and Dallas and all of those places. But trust me, Saskatoon grew on us. Even that has been a surprise. Initially, we thought this is too much, kind of rural, not quite. They don't have skyscrapers like we even have in Nigeria, right? But I don't see those things anymore. What I see is just a lot of beauty, peace, and friendly people now. Friendly people many times, right? So, yes. Wow. So initially for us, the first few days were a surprise. They said it was warm, but we thought it was cold in June. We came in on the 5th of June. It was cold. We had to wear sweaters and it was just maybe 15 degrees. Right now, I can probably wear, I'm sure I can wear shorts when it's even 1 or 2.
15 is good.
Yeah. So our blood has changed. So it was a shock. What we saw was a shock at the time we landed. Wow. Because we were used to, so much more when you leave Nigeria.
I think the shock was more the environment and what it looked like than the people.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was
it
embarrassing.
So, what was your experience with the people, engaging with people, the people you met, the first set of people you met, and those kind of things? How was that?
Well, I think at the airport in Toronto was quite interesting. The immigration customs officials, CBSC officials who attended through till Saskatoon. And we found the first few days very interesting. People were really very warm.
Can I interrupt you before
sure.
you go into the first few days? I think for me, what stole my heart is our sister-in-law met us. She came to meet us with about, I don't know, maybe 6 families. There were many people. It was crazy.
Yes.
They treated us like royalty. It was absolutely crazy.
Okay, now that's a lot. 6 families.
They just pulled up. It was amazing. These guys were phenomenal all through. We had like different drivers all through the day. Someone would come in the morning, another family in the afternoon. It was fantastic.
Wow.
They were a huge rock at the time, and they're still very close friends.
Are you sure they were just trying to make sure that you did not take off after 2 weeks?
I don't know.
Well, actually,
yeah.
My sister and her family had built a Nigerian community. They had become a part of the Nigerian community in Saskatoon. There were some sort of leaders in the community, people who were looked up to, who were respected, and still are looked up to and respected in the community. Wow. And also, a number of those families had lived with my sister and her family when they moved into Saskatoon. There has been that web, that network, that connection of the Nigerian community. So when they knew that we were coming, and of course my sister had informed all.
They're great people. They love people. So
she had informed all.
They just showed up for her big time.
Oh my goodness!
So thereby showing up for you big time.
Yes,
that's really good. I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, we had about 12 suitcases or so, and there were 4 or 5 cars, such that there were people waiting to pick up our luggage, and there was one whole vehicle that had no luggage to take because people had split everything up. And it was an interesting experience coming in that way. And as Bolanle said, we came in at 15 degrees and it was freezing for us. Coming in from 36, 38, plus then coming to 15 degrees.
15 is freezing from 38. It's just that now 15 is short weather, right?
Yeah, 15 right now.
That's so cool. That's so cool. It's good to hear, because this is consistent with my conversations with everybody else. How warm the people are on landing, how much support people are willing to provide, both Nigerians as well as people of other races that we meet here. So that just tells me that the Canadian spirit is the same, right? You come in here, you imbibe it, you adopt it, and you live it and share it.
It is. If I may just very quickly chip in one experience. I remember one Canada Day, I took a walk and this was right on the highway, a major highway.
I remember,
And this old man, gentle old man, came from the other side of the road, crossed to my side to come and say hello to me. And he came over to say, "Oh, happy Canada Day. Are you new in town?" And I said, "Yeah." I was so overwhelmed. He crossed the highway just to get to my side to say hello to me. And I thought, oh, really? If people are this warm here, okay, so maybe this is the place to be.
Yeah, I can imagine that, and that's just cool. So it just shows once again that the Canadian spirit is the same. People care about people, and they're willing to show them support.
Absolutely. So that's been our experience.
Fantastic. And if we want to move along, my next question, I'll just be asking you. So far, so good. How's the journey been? X years in. So how many years have you been at it now? And what's it been like for you?
It's almost 6 years.
6 years short of 5
5
months now. In June, it's going to be 6
Yeah, it'll be
years.
6 years.
Wow, wow. Cool, cool. So how's it been? 6 years in.
You start with that.
I say to people, when people come into Saskatoon newly, new landed immigrants, and Nigerians who call us from time to time wanting to know how it has been. I say to people all the time, and I mean all the time, I say to people, we do not have one shred, 1 ounce, 1 tittle of regret. Absolutely none whatsoever.
Yes.
It has been a fantastic experience with the highs and the lows.
Yeah.
It has been an amazing, awesome, rewarding, wonderful, fantabulous experience. I can tell you we are doing well.
Yeah.
And if
Now,
you like,
coming from you, with where this conversation started, that speaks volumes.
Yes.
and I will say what I was going to say what you mean by where this conversation started. Yes, of course, I was reluctant to come.
Yes.
And what I had to go through because I wasn't prepared when I came. It was a trying, tough, pretty much seemingly terrible experience, but it was a period that prepared me appropriately for where I am now. And I say to people, I doubt that I would have wanted it another way. It was tough, it was trying, it was nerve-wracking, it was back-breaking, but it brought out the better part of me, it brought out the better person in me.
Yes.
And I really won't have it another way.
Yep.
So now that you've gone there, bearing in mind all you've been through, you said you were not prepared, right? What when you say you are not prepared, what exactly, because you are leaving a 20-year career behind to come start life in a new country, and you arrived here after 4 years of preparation, 2 years of deferring the final cutoff, that's 6.5 years, and you arrive and you say you are not prepared. So what exactly is that preparation that you are referring to in this case?
Okay, thank you. Now, what I am referring to is this. As I said, I wasn't interested in coming to Canada, so I did not prepare. Bolanle did all the preparation. She knew what to do. She prepared. She knew what examinations to take. She knew what opportunities were available to her as a banker. She had options of what to do. She spent practically 4 years, pretty much every day of those 4 years, staying up in the night, studying about Canada, doing all sorts of research, listening to a radio station in Saskatoon pretty much every day of the 4 years. And I just generally looked away. I was not interested. So I got to Canada knowing very little about the requirements for me to become professionally integrated into the legal industry. I felt, I'm coming with 20 years of experience. Anybody who sees that on my resume should just throw open their doors and give me a job. And I was thoroughly deflated when I found out that the 20 years experience I came to Canada with meant absolutely nothing to anyone here. Wow. I had a rather terrible experience when I eventually woke up and thought, okay, now let me prepare for my certification as a lawyer and take the exams set by the Federation of Law Societies of Canada. And I had an initial assessment where I was told that because I did not sit for a course in the university, the law of torts, which I actually sat for,
that was a mistake,
but was not included in my academic transcript by the University of Ibadan. The Federation of Law Societies of Canada said to me, with this transcript that we see, you need to go back and study law from year one in the university.
Wow. Okay, now that's a whole new level of what do I call it now? Now, I don't know how to process that.
It wasn't funny. I was livid. I was livid. 20 years and you tell me it's worth nothing just because of one course.
Of one course. Yeah. 100 level course.
Yeah. And I was told I had to go back to the university. Of course, I contested that. And that was reversed, which is another thing which I think is very instructive. I contested it because, hey, excuse me, I went to school. I took that course, but the university rectified that. And it still turned out that I wasn't prepared because I then had to undergo self-study for those courses. And the last time I did anything like that was 22 years previously. It was tough.
Yeah.
It was.
Adult education is grueling.
After
20 years, well, that's
it is great. It is because of adult education.
I can imagine.
But it has all worked out well. But I was ill prepared. Absolutely. I mean, I thought it was just going to be a piece of cake, but I was humbled.
Yeah.
So if I can wrap a bow around what you just said so far, basically, if you are trying to make the move, number one, be aware of the environments, the caliber of people that exist in that environment and what they're, then be aware of what the requirements for you to get into your profession are. Preferably get into that before you even put in your application, so that you know whether you should be filling that form or not, or whether you should be dreaming of a career or making a career change immediately.
Yes.
Because if you can't find a path that gets you to doing what you used to do, then you find yourself in limbo. So I think that's kind of wraps up what you spoke about. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
And even when you're well prepared, you should always give yourself options. It could be A, it could be B, and it could be C, who knows? And you have to give yourself firm options such that you still be comfortable where you find yourself. And we always say this to people all the time. Then you must be talking to the right people. That's crucial. That's non-negotiable. So you're planning to come into Canada to continue with banking, and the only person you've been talking to is that cousin that is a doctor. He's not going to give you any information that will work for you. And
He can't help you.
he can't help you. He loves you, but he can't help you. And if you're not talking to people, and I'm Bible says that in the midst of counselors there's safety. You should be talking to 2, 3, 4 people. And you should also have information. That way, you're taking that information to them and you're going, okay, so this is what I have read. Because people don't like to read and do their own research. So what should I do it this way or that way? And talk to as many people as you can. And there's so many exams you can take from Nigeria. You don't have to wait to get here to start writing those exams. There's so much you can do. And if that thing isn't working, you know that when you come, okay, so if this one doesn't work, I have this, I'm ready with another one. But know that if you can do that, you cut the time short. Basically.
Yeah. So you are saying have options.
Oh yeah, you should always have options.
Have options for career, have options for economics. Economics is important.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Have options, have your options set so that when you come in, you're just like putting the first cassette. If the music is not coming out right, remove it, try the next one.
Yeah.
First the reggae and then the blues, as the case may be.
And if you're coming to Canada, especially when you're not coming with hundreds of thousands of dollars, you should also know that it won't just be a passion plan. Passion like, okay, this is what I like to do and this is what I'm going to do. At times, that can shock you. It can shock you into sickness. You need to be realistic with those plans because they tell you that, coming to a new place means it's an opportunity to change your career or to do that thing that you've always loved to do. I absolutely agree. But I always talk about banking, for instance. If you were a banker in Nigeria for 20 years and you're coming here, it'll be easy for you to continue with banking. While you're in that banking role, and it'll be easy for you to get into a banking role. While you're there, you can now begin to pursue that passion. Maybe baking or whatever it is. Otherwise, if you try to come and start with that passion that you know absolutely nothing about, it's just that burning desire in your heart, it can shock you into depression that will lead to other things. And I see that happen all the time. Yes, it's a good opportunity for you to switch things up, but you also have to stay realistic and practical.
So that sounds like your research has to be twofold. You have to be looking to how can I use my current experience to plug in?
Yes.
And if that current experience isn't what you've always wanted to do, and you're thinking of doing something else, then you should be looking at how can I use my current experience to pivot into the new thing that I want to do.
Absolutely.
Such that you come in with some economic capacity and then use that economic capacity to educate yourself into your new role and then grow from there. Right?
Except you have some support system, maybe a spouse that is willing to work and allow you pursue your dream through training.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned support system, now I'm speaking more from the social, emotional support side of things. You from your story, arriving and having 6 cars pick you up at the airport filled with 12 people, that tells me that you have a village around you.
We do.
So how much has that village impacted, your ability to find your place and settle into Saskatoon as a city and the community in general?
I think this village has been fantastic. And I think the reason is it's a village that from day one, it is when you have a baby and you breastfeed the baby, you bottle feed the baby. I mean, this mother or parent would have done everything and anything, but I think we were intentional about trying to wean ourselves off of the village quickly, even though we could have stayed as babies in this village for as long as possible. In fact, it was so bad that by the time we came, Nana, we call my sister-in-law Nana, she had socks for the children to wear. She had gloves for winter, even though it was summer. She had it was an exaggeration of love.
Yeah.
But we had everything. She was ready for us to stay in her house still forever. And Daddy, that's her husband. But we were intentional about starting quickly. In fact, I think we're there for just 3 weeks. We're like, there's no point pretending that we're not going to get into the meat. Let's just get out now and start. So the village, I mean, we had plates to use from day one. We had mugs, as in people gave us their kitchenware. It was that bad. It was a whole lot of love in many ways. But and I think it's also because we're independent people. We don't like to, we don't like to hang on people for too long. So we left off quickly to start, but we still had them all around us. And we've stayed in the same neighborhood all these years. So the people we speak of are still people that are around us. Our children have also benefited from the love of the village, right? But I tell people that the sooner you just start to stand on your feet, the better for you. You don't want to wear people out. But they will still, some people will love you for as long as they can, but you also need to stand up and start walking so you can help people along. And for us, I think we've been very invested in that, and more so because we got a lot of love. So we're constantly giving love to, we're constantly paying it forward. We're very, very intentional about that because it makes a world of difference. We've met people that they come to Saskatoon, they know absolutely nobody. It can be very tough. It can be very painful. It can be lonely, right? And so we always try to encourage people because, I mean, we've had it very good, that's the truth.